Hello and welcome back. So up until now I was mostly doing Amar, Galente and Calderi storyline missions. This time I did manage to get a couple new storyline missions, including one Minmatar storyline. Now this is I think the tier 6 storyline, and mostly these tier 6 storylines are generally easy and they also offer very nice rewards alongside very nice loot. Now this mission is a two-part mission. That means I'll have to go to the first combat site, and after that I'll have to warp and travel to the second combat site. And well, I guess it is time to start and time to see how this mission will look. Now before you go to the combat site you will have to scan the system, which usually is a couple jumps from the mission, from the place from which you accept the mission. And after you do this, you will have to travel to the first combat site. Now this is a Minmatar mission and you should be expecting Minmatar ships as your primary target. At the moment I am flying a Vexor navy. I do have almost maxed out drone skills, and now I can use up to 8 or 9 drones at once. But the Vexor can carry 5 medium drones, and now I can utilize all 5 drones that this ship does have. So it will be interesting to see how the ship will perform with 5 drones active instead of 4 drones that I did use up until now. And I do have a medium missile launcher as my primary weapon on this ship. Or should I say, I do have missile launchers in the high slots of this ship, which I do want to replace with rapid missiles, because rapid missiles do have decent range and they do have higher DPS. Now I did warp at the first combat site and I will target these ships, and I did separate the ships by range, which means in most cases I will target the closest ships first, and after that I will slowly work my way up with the ships that are more further away. As for the elite ships, you will see later that I will have to fight one elite ship that can cause some problems, but the first couple waves of enemy ships should be easy to destroy. I have to say, one extra drone does improve the DPS quite a bit. I am shooting down the ships a lot faster now, and that is quite a nice change. Now the next ship that I'll be flying is the Arbitrator Cortops, and that ship is generally very similar to the Vexor navy, just with a little bit of difference in the range, and of course it does utilize a Cortops cloaking device, which is very useful, and it can save your ship in some very risky situations. And of course those ships are very good in low sec and in null sec as well. Now of course you can use the Vexor navy in null sec as well, but you don't have a cloaking device and you will have to rely on other skills to keep you alive in case other players decide to warp in your system. But that is a story that I'll be saving up for the next video. Okay, so far I am doing a nice job at shooting down these ships. Generally all the waves are so far easy and they aren't representing a threat. Now this is the second wave, and the next wave will be the third wave, and in the next wave there are going to be a couple elite ships warping in. And I will target those elite ships first, because they can represent a serious threat to this ship. Now These are Minmatar ships, and I'm not quite sure, because I am mostly doing this mission for the first time now, I'm not quite sure if any of the elite ships that do warp in here carry any disruptors. Now I know that when I did one of the first Caldari missions, I remember that they do carry disruptors, but I'm not quite sure about the Minmatar storylines. And because of that, I don't wanna find out if they carry a disruptor, so I'll be shooting down the ships from distance, and of course I'll be very careful at not allowing them to get close to me. Okay, that rupture is slowly reaching the end of its lifetime, and the next target will be that bomber. Now, speaking of bombers, at the moment I don't see a purpose in bombers for PvE and generally for missions. Bombers are excellent at shooting down the larger targets, and they are excellent for ambushes, and they are excellent for fleets. But of course, there is time to test those ships out as well. At the moment, I am very curious about the Force Recon ships. They do have very nice bonuses, and they are very capable for both tasks in PvE and PvP. So I'll be testing out those ships very soon, and I am also getting my ISK for that. Alongside the ISK, I also do have the necessary skills for these ships, and of course I will have the necessary modules. Let's see, 3 ships are left. Now, after this wave, there is going to be another wave of enemy ships, and this time there are going to be a couple elite ships, which I'll be targeting first. Now, if you remember one of the previous storyline missions that I was doing, I think it was called the Super Soft Drink. That storyline is also a 2-part storyline where you have to go and collect 2 cash containers in 2 separate systems. In that mission, we did have one very serious elite cruiser warping in the 3rd wave, and that elite cruiser is one of the more difficult ships to fight in these missions. So at the moment I am expecting to see a similar ship to appear in the 3rd wave of this mission, and for that I am slowly preparing myself to take range from these targets, because my idea is to launch drones at that ship and then to take even more range to make the ship return to its original position, because they don't chase you after you go out they don't chase you after you reach at least 240 kilometers from the center of the site, which can be used, and in my case I do use that quite a lot, especially with this ship, because it allows me to destroy the more serious ships without much of a problem. Now, this is the 3rd wave, and I did not see any elite ship warping in. That means there is going to be a 4th wave, which is interesting, and that makes me a little bit worried about what might warp in. But as always, I am prepared to fight any ship that will appear. And after all, I do have finally the necessary skills to use a lot of drones. That will also help me to clear this mission a lot faster than before. Now, so far from all of these missions, the ones that I did enjoy the most are definitely the Caldari and Galente missions, mostly because I managed to get quite a decent profit from these missions. One time I actually managed to get at least 100 million ISK from one of these missions, that is including the mission rewards and bounty, and I did get a big part of that ISK by selling the loot that I did find. And these missions, despite being only tier 6, they can still give you very nice rewards and very nice loot, which is very good, especially if you are a alpha clone. Alpha clones can do these missions very well, and the tier 6 missions are important for alpha clones because they can give them very nice loot, they can give them very nice ISK rewards, and of course the loot that they can get, they can also sell that loot, and in the end, if they wish, they can also buy the Omega clone, which in my case is kind of the thing. But I do have enough plex for at least 4 or 5 months now, so I am safe. Okay, let's see. This cruiser is going down. After that, I'll be targeting the next cruiser. We're going to fight a lot of these ships. Now, they usually don't have much range, so you are going to be mostly safe at 45 to 50 kilometers from these ships. Now, in some cases, if you use the MVD, you will get hit because the MVD will increase the signature radius of the ship, and that will make the ship easier to hit from longer ranges. But at the moment I don't have much of a problem at surviving without a shield booster or without any armor repairer. As you might have noticed, I do not use any shield or armor repairers because I did fit this ship to be only a long-range drone DPS, and so far it does work quite well. I am indeed quite satisfied with this ship. Now, speaking of the drone DPS, I do plan to work a lot more on this ship. I do want to get a lot higher DPS, because at the moment drones are indeed one of the best weapons for these missions, because they are very practical, they have very long range. Now, I can use these drones even after I go out of the maximum drone control range, and if you want to utilize that, you have to skill the advanced and the basic skills for the medium drones. You have to have at least, I think, level 3 or level 4 of those skills in order to have the drones stay at the target even after you get out of the maximum control range. So far, I am sure that this works for medium drones. I didn't use the small drones, but I am quite sure that even the small drones work with that quite well. Okay, well, the next wave. Now let's see. Well, there is at least 8 ships that did warp in, and I will shoot down all of these ships. So far I did not encounter any elite cruiser, and that is kind of weird. That is, I need to expect 1 or 2 of these cruisers to pop in the second part of the mission. And let's see, so this is a normal cruiser, a stabber. Okay, this will be the primary target. It's the closest ship to me at the moment. As the closest ship, it will be a primary. Now here you might notice that they are going to have range. Now in my case I don't use a shield booster and I still don't take too much damage even after being hit. So if you plan to use a long range ship, whether it be missiles or drones, if you don't want to take damage or if you want to at least have one form of shield tanking, then I suggest installing one shield booster on your ship, because at 45 kilometers you are not going to take too much damage. So even if you don't have good resistances on your ship, one shield booster is still going to cover the incoming damage, and you don't have to worry about getting hit from these ships at this distance. Now if you plan to engage these ships in close range combat, then I suggest to have a very good tank, because these are tier 6 ships and they still can destroy a tier 6 cruiser very quickly. If I were, for example, to approach these ships around, let's say, 10 kilometers, there is a high chance that those ships would destroy my cruiser very quickly. So keep that in mind, always be careful around these ships and always warp in prepared, whether it be a long range build or a close range build. In this case I am using a drone DPS build without any shield boosters or armor repairers, and it works quite well. Now of course I am doing this for quite some time now, so I am kind of already skilled in this way of combat. But if you are attempting to do this way for the first time, I suggest practicing in the other missions first or practicing in anomalies until you get the feel on how this tactic works, and after that you are free to try the tactic out in the more serious missions that the game has to offer. Okay, two of these ships are left. Now, as you can see so far, it is going pretty smoothly, no issues at all so far, and I have to admit this might be one of my personal favorite missions now, mostly because at how efficient I am shooting down these ships. Now I will be very curious to see what loot I will get from these missions. Now, since the last update, I do kind of think that they did change the drops a little bit, because from the last two storylines that I didn't get the same loot that I used to get before the patch. So there is a chance that they did change the drops a little bit, and if anyone has some information about that, please do tell me in the comments. I am very curious to see what happened in that case. Okay, let's see, that Rapture will be the primary target. Now here you notice that I do shoot the larger targets first, and that is mostly because they can hit my ship and I do not want to take any unnecessary damage. So I will be shooting down in most cases the cruisers first, mostly because they have range and I don't have any shield booster to recover my shield. And because I don't want to warp out, I will have to focus on the larger cruisers first before I can switch to the frigates. Now, in this case, you are going to fight stabbers, you are going to fight raptors and the other cruisers. Mostly the stabbers are going to be the ones that will carry the cannons, although I also did notice the raptors carrying cannons as well. Usually these ships carry autocannons, which do have close range, but they do have high DPS. On the other hand, the cannons have very high range, but they have a slower rate of fire. Now, I have to admit, I do like the cannon fire effects. They look very nice, and they also sound very nice. Have to say, the developers did a very good job with the sound design, and I know that most of the assets in the game are mostly taken from EVE Online. They just put those through a different game engine, but they did manage to put the EVE Online experience in a phone, and that is something impressive. Okay, the next target will be that ship. My shield is holding it around, I think, I'd say 65%. And so far, no elite ships warped in. That makes me kind of worried for the next wave, because I don't know what to expect. Of course, in any case, if those ships decide to warp in, and they did, I'll be taking range, as you can see here. And now I am at a safe distance from this elite cruiser. Now, when you reach the third wave here, these ships the ship that you're currently seeing here, the elite Rupture, is going to be very fast, and you will have to make this ship your primary target. Be careful around this ship, because they can do a lot of damage. Now, as you can see, I am at around 260 kilometers from the main group of enemy ships, and this is the closest ship to me at the moment, because the ship did attempt to chase me through space, and it did catch me, but thankfully I was prepared for such a ship. And now, as you can see, the drones are shooting down the ship's armor slowly, and the ship isn't interested in chasing me down, so I am safe from enemy fire, and at the same time I am also doing quite a decent amount of damage to that Rupture. And this is the tactic that I love about the drones, because you can literally shoot down any problematic ship this way. You approach the target on the maximum drone control range, you launch the drones at the target, and then you run away from the elite ship. Now, I know the elite ship will chase you down, but you need to keep on taking range until the elite ship loses interest in chasing you down, or in other words, you have to keep running away from the main group of enemies until you reach 240 kilometers, and then the elite ship will turn around and it will proceed to return to the main group of enemies, or it will proceed to return on the center of the current map. And the elite ship has been shot down very efficiently and also very quickly. Now, the rest of the ships from this point on are going to be mostly easy kills. You have to be careful though, because you will have a lot of these cruisers, and they do have range around 45 kilometers, so they are going to be able to hit ships that are orbiting or that are keeping range at 45 kilometers. But the drones are, as you can see, doing an amazing job, and I don't have to be around 45 kilometers for the drones to keep on attacking the target. I just approach, launch drones, and then I take range to be safe from enemy fire, and then I just wait for the drones to shoot down the primary target. And after that happens, I slowly return to the next target, and if I have to, I repeat the same process again. But at the moment, as you can see, everything is going according to plan. The ships are going down slowly, and gotta admit, I didn't get quite a good loot this time. I did get a couple torpedoes, I did get a Challenger medium missile launcher, but more than that I don't think that I did get much. And of course I did get a faction Nosferatu, which I think cannot be sold for much because they aren't rare items. But of course I might use them in PvP if I decide to PvP, for example. Now the missile launchers, they I think can be sold for around maybe 5 million ISK. I didn't look at the prices in quite some time. One thing that I know, the medium turrets, the faction turrets that I have, they aren't worth much. I think you can sell them for maybe 500,000 ISK if lucky, because these turrets are generally not that expensive. But in that case you can use these turrets. They do offer nice performance for their price and they aren't bad at all. After all, they are faction turrets, and as faction turrets they are going to be performing better than the ordinary turrets that we have in the game. Alright, well, this Talvar has been shot down, and let's see what the fourth wave of ships is going to have. Okay, I see couple elite ships. Okay, I see 20 more ships to be destroyed. Well, I'll be targeting the elite ships first, as usual. Now, I don't expect these ships to be very lethal, because usually these missions do have only one serious threat, and I did eliminate that one serious threat, that was that Rupture. Most of the other ships are going to be generally very easy to be shot down, and they do also offer very nice bounties. Now, so far, up until this point, I have to say that this might be the easiest tier 6 storyline mission that the game has. It is definitely easier than the Galante tier 6 storyline. It did take me a lot less time to complete this mission than to complete the Galante storyline, and of course part of that goes because I have 5 drones instead of 4, and that one drone does improve performance quite a bit. And so far I am very satisfied with this ship's performance, and of course I am very satisfied with the drone performance that the ship has to offer, and soon I'll be switching to Mark 7 medium drones. Well, the mission has been completed, and let me just quickly show you what reward I will get from the supply chest. Let's see what is inside. I'm very curious. Small shield, okay, and scout small micro object. Well, that's actually very nice. Let me see the prices of these items. I actually might as well, let's see, well, 2.5 million. Okay, well, I can't complain. The rewards are nice. Well, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed. It is a pleasure to play this game for you. And fly safe, stay safe. I'll see you next time.